What if who you think you are isn't really who you are? What if the you navigating the world with your name, your roles, your story is just a mask worn by something much more expansive? Welcome back. My name is Reese, and this is Mental Medicine. Here we explore the unseen architecture of the self, beyond limitation and conditioning. Today we're unmasking one of the most powerful constructs in the human experience, the ego. What it is, how it forms, and how, when misunderstood, it can keep us small by playing a familiar pattern of beliefs to the idea of who we think we are, but also how, when held with compassion, it becomes a sacred bridge between the soul and the world. The ego is not who you are, it's who you think you are. It's the identity you've pieced together through memory, emotion, feedback, and survival. The ego appears in our language when we say, I'm this kind of person. I belong to this group, I succeed at this, and I fail at that. But these are stories told by a mind trying to make sense of an ever-changing world. The ego is a construct, an accumulation of thoughts, beliefs, cultural scripts, traumas, and triumphs. It's the part of you that says, I'm Reese, I'm a coach, I'm worthy because I've done this, or unworthy because I haven't. Yet who is the one aware of those thoughts? Who is the one watching the identity? That silent witness, that formless awareness, that is your true self. The ego thrives in the illusion of separation. It says, I'm this and you are that. It defines by contrast, comparison, competition. Ancient spiritual teachers understood this as the word devil is derived from the Greek word diablos, which can be translated as to divide or to separate. In the Hindu tradition, according to Wendy Doniger, to say that the universe is an illusion, Maya, is not to say that it is unreal. It is to say instead that it is not what it seems to be, that it is something constantly being made. Maya not only deceives people about the things they think they know, more basically, it limits their knowledge. But beneath the mask of me and you, there's only one field, one breath, one eternal energy wearing a billion different disguises. In physics, the unified field theories attempt to describe all fundamental forces such as gravity and electromagnetism as different expressions of a single underlying field. Though still theoretical, string theory and quantum field theory suggest that all particles and forces emerge from fluctuations of one underlying field energy. The ego believes in limits. It lives in the hurts and successes of the past and curates a predictable future. In fear of being nobody, it clings to creating somebody. But the truth is, we are everybody. We just have lived an individual set of experiences, events, and circumstances which have formed unique emotions and beliefs. The separateness of objects, including you and me, is an illusion of perception. At the most fundamental level, everything is energy arising from the same field. Physicist David Bohm referred to this as the implicate order, a hidden interconnected reality beneath the surface of apparent separateness. The ego is why we chase validation, why we protect our image, why we fear change, because to the ego, change feels like a death or a destruction to the identity we believe we are. But the soul knows no death, only transformation. As Imre du Châtelet once said, energy can be neither created nor destroyed, rather it can only be transformed or transferred from one form to another. The ego is like a costume in the play that is life. But forget you're wearing it, and you'll mistake the mask for the actor, the identity for the soul. The ego begins forming in childhood, when we first separate self from other. We learn who we must be to be loved, what parts of us are praised and which are pushed away. We build an identity from these fragments. I'm the smart one, I'm the quiet one, I'm the caretaker, the rebel, the achiever. And in that shaping, we forget that we are not the shape. We are the space that occupies. This accumulation of identity becomes armor, keeping us safe with a known idea of self, but also keeping us small by attaching this to this recognizable perception of who we are. One of my greatest teachers, Peter Crone, who I've not met in person, but a man I've learned a lot from listening to his platform, Freedom, speaks about how the ego creates identification labels that are powerful in curating one's reality. However, they are misleading to the truth of self. The ego might say something like, I'm depressed, which could be true in the moment, but it's not a truthful way of codifying your humanity. Because if depression was the essence of who you were, how would you know you were depressed in the first place? One only knows they are depressed because it feels unnatural. It arises from a state of not feeling like your true self. Therefore, it's a lie to say, I am depressed. But that use of language still affects your reality and how you show up in the world. Even when the ego tries to quantify your body and say, I'm fat, it's lying. That's like getting in a car and saying that you are the car now. The body is your vehicle, but not your essence. And when the ego uses language to influence your reality, it will cause you to eat harmful food and not take up exercise because your subconscious has been imprinted with these egoic beliefs and finds ways to make them true. Language creates belief, and belief creates identity. This is why the times we live in are the greatest opportunity to hold a compassionate space for our egoic beliefs. Because social media, often viewed as the problem, can be the mirror. A mirror that reflects exactly what the ego is attached to. Every scroll reveals a story the ego clings to. How do I measure up? How am I worthy? How can I be seen? The feed becomes a feedback loop, an algorithmic ecosystem of our identity, curated by likes, shaped by comparison, and fed by the need to be validated. We follow what we identify with, we're shown what reinforces our beliefs, and we post to confirm a sense of self. But in this mirror is an invitation to ask not just what am I seeing, but how is this influencing my view of myself, and what in me is choosing to see it this way? Because when we notice the identity we're projecting online, we glimpse the ego in action, and in that noticing we become free. Let me clarify, the ego is not bad, just an untruthful notion of who you are. It's not something to destroy or transcend forever. It's a distinct tool and an interface between the infinite self and the finite experience. Without the ego, there is no you or me, no language, no relating, no dance of duality. Our singular identities allow us to meet, mirror, and move each other. They bring color to the canvas of creation. Your individuality, your laugh, your art, your story adds novelty to this universal field of being. When held with awareness, the ego becomes a companion, not a captor, a lantern to shine, not a suppressive cage. Healing isn't about dissolving the ego, it's about seeing through it with love. When the ego says, I'm not enough, you can smile and say, thank you for protecting me, but I know who I really am. When the ego says, they're better than you, you can pause and whisper, I'm not separate, I'm energy and form. Every trigger, every wound, every judgment is an invitation to return to presence, to step out of illusion and into your essence. Because you are not your job, your status, your body, or your bank account. You are the awareness behind it all. I'm not this hair, I'm not this skin, I'm the soul that lives within. Rumi. You are the limitless field that cannot be defined, only remembered. So next time the ego speaks, don't silence it. Listen to it, like you would a scared child, because often that's what it is, a younger version of you still trying to earn love, still trying to belong. Hold it, honor it, but don't mistake it for your truth, because you are not the mask, you are the mystery. And the more you become aware of the ego, the more space you give your soul to shine through. If this resonated with you, subscribe and journey deeper with me into the inner world. Comment below what's one belief about your identity you're ready to question. And remember, true power doesn't come from who you are in the eyes of others. It comes from knowing the truth of what you are, even when no one's watching. Thank you so much.